Hi, third, fourth, and fifth grade leaders. We're preparing for August 30th in our series called Like Jesus. In this series, we've been taking a look at how Jesus goes about his ministry life and all that we can learn from that. You'll notice in your leader guide, there's a big picture question. We've been asking this all the way through the series as a way to frame what it is we want kids to get out of what we're learning. And the big picture question is, why did God create people? God created people to worship him, to love him, and to show his glory. What we see in our story today of Jesus healing 10 men is that there was one man who chose to acknowledge what God did in his life. Did that mean that God didn't do things to the other men? No, it didn't mean that. And in fact, it probably drastically changed their life. But we all have the opportunity every single day to acknowledge what God has done in our life. And that's what we want kids to get out of this entire series is we have that opportunity to learn to worship him, not just sing to him, not just sing and dance to him, not just sing and raise our hands to him. That's not what worship is. Worship is showing God how much he means to us. And we can do that in all areas of our life. Our bottom line is we can thank God and worship him for making us new. What we saw in our story today is the man who turned around to thank God for making him new. What he was doing was acknowledging what God did in his life. And we can do the exact same thing. In fact, it's good for us to do the exact same thing. When we do that, then we are beginning to learn to worship God with our whole lives, in our body and in our spirit. Then your Christ connection helps you know how to put the Bible story together with this big idea. And our Christ connection today is Jesus healed the 10 men who cried out to him. The one who had faith was saved. When we trust in Jesus by faith, he heals us from something greater than a disease. He saves us from our sins. We can give him thanks and worship him for making us new. Now, why do we include all the extra words in the guide for you? We put all that in there to help you learn and grow as a leader as well. Pay attention to what's written in the context. Pastor Mike writes that for us for every series as a way for you to understand what's going on in the Bible in the middle of what we're teaching in our lesson today. Your large group video will have all of the Bible teaching and the crew being the hosts to help make the Christ connection and use all of those words that I just shared with you. And so you could just play the video and play all the games together. But what I encourage you to do so that you can continue to grow as a leader and as a follower of Jesus is pay attention to that context. It helps me understand a lot of times better what it is that I am having to know so that I can help other people know it as well. Your social activity, you have some chit chat cards. Those cards are ways for you to build relationships with kids. We want to be always mindful of the new kid that is coming into our groups. And so those social activities are ways for your new kids to feel more welcome. What we know is when a new kid comes in, they don't know what we do or how we do it or why we do it. And so what we are showing them is that we build relationships, and we build relationships by having fun things to do together. And so that's what that activity is. It also will help you get to know your small group a little better, especially since you have a new small group with all the kids moving up to their new grades. You will watch your large group video. Your large group video does have a worship song in it. You're welcome to use that. You could also take that out at your discretion. I'm not telling you to take it out. I love worship. I am a music major, so I love music. I am telling you that as a small group leader, you have discretion on how you want to use things. We do expect you to use the Bible story. And so have fun with that today as you show the video to the kids and have the crew be the host in that video. Then your small group activity, you have a piece of paper that looks like this, thank God, every day, and you have some pencils on your table that the kids can use. And there are two boxes on this piece of paper. It says on the bad days and on the good days. And I encourage you to have kids write in those boxes things that they think they could thank God for even on those days. And maybe they want to consider before they write this down what a good day looks like to them and what a bad day looks like to them. In fact, I encourage you in your small group, get them to talk about that before they write it down. And then have them write that down on their paper and ask if there's anybody in your group who would like to share that with everybody else. And maybe some of the ideas that people are writing down on their paper could be inspiring for somebody else in the group. I encourage you to do this activity before you do your discussion questions. Some of our kids are tactile kinesthetic learners, and they need to do something with the things that they learned before they can process what they learned. And so this activity is built for them to do that, to have some of that input into their brain. And then you can come back and have a great discussion with the kids because they will have had opportunities to apply it already in different ways. And so I encourage you to ask the second question that is in your discussion questions. This could be a really great discussion question. I also want to remind you that the discussion questions are built for that, for discussion. So make sure that you're not building it like a quiz show where kids have to know all the right answers. Again, we're trying to be mindful of that new kid. We want to give them a great experience that they want to come back to. And so when you build a discussion, then they know the next time I come in and I have a big question, I can ask a question, and we will have a discussion about it. And so in your leader guide, it tells you to guide kids to discuss the difference. I encourage you before you get there to think about ways that you would answer these questions so that you are getting to process some ways that you might have the kids have that discussion. Again, try not to make it a quiz show, okay? I think you guys understand what I'm saying. I don't think you all do that on the regular, but I just want you to know that we do want to be mindful of the outsider that's coming in. Your memory verse activity is a kind of like a Mad Lib. I don't know if you've enjoyed doing Mad Libs growing up. They were one of my favorite things to do. And so what you'll do is say the memory verse and then put funny words in there. What I want you to understand about the memory verse activity is not that I expect that each kid is going to memorize the memory verse word for word. That's not what we use Sunday morning time for. That will be emphasized in their Wednesday night groups as they learn and grow as a disciple. But on Sunday morning, what we want to use this activity for is for them to realize that we go to the Bible as our reference point for who God is and what he tells us about Jesus and how he desires for us to live. And so by using these verses like this, we're helping put words in their head, in their memory bank of ways that they can go back to the Bible and look for themselves and see what God says in his word. So if anything, I want for them to learn what the address is so that they can go at any point in their life and go back to that and say, oh, you know what? I remember Sam and Andrew told me about this verse in the Bible. I want to look up and see what that says. And so that's what we want. We want for that reference point to stick in their head so that in the future they can go back and use that information and to help build their relationship with God as well. You have coloring pages if the kids would like to use their coloring pages. You also have air hockey and beanbag toss set up in your room if you want to use that as an incentive for kids to do after you have finished your small group activities. You can always take them outside. Thank you so much for leading and loving kids and building relationships with them. I look forward to seeing you guys soon.